Hey everyone, I'm Alex from Creative Lab.
Hey folks, I'm Logan from the Google AI Studio team.
Today we're talking to Kiati. We work together on a team called Creative Lab at Google. And on our team, we have a lot of artists and designers who have been just vibe coding a lot in AI Studio. So I thought I'd bring on Kiati to do some of her live demos for us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share some stuff.
Sometimes I feel like I'm creative because I have access to a lot of these tools, and then I see things like this that people create. And I'm curious if you give color for folks who like see things like this and are like, I would never be able to come up with that, of like what some of the inspiration was, or like where you were thinking about some of these ideas and like how they came to life.
I've always been fascinated by creative coding. My background is pretty traditional in that I'm a graphic designer, but I've always been interested in like new processes. So when vibe coding came around, I heard it from a friend. That was just like no stopping. And my first instinct whenever I'm like learning a new technique is to basically open old files, because I feel like that's it's a great way to measure the delta of, at that point I thought this artwork was finished, but now that I have this like new capability, where else could I take it? What's a different form that I could give something? So for example, on the left were these visualizers that I'd made for my sister who's a musician. And then on the right is pretty much the same thing, but it's like interactive, and now it's spawning some of the artifacts that I made. Maybe I'll share another example like this one. Basically, there's an invisible like distortion map that's happening. It's like a Perlin noise deformer. And here, think of it as like a cloud of black and white. And I can either make it denser or sparser, and like increase the scale or decrease the scale. But the black and white is affecting the position of the nodes. I actually give this or share this example a lot every time someone asks me, or should I even like do traditional design if I can do stuff like this? And I always say, I wouldn't have known to prompt Perlin noise deformer, or to say like redistribute the nodes of the type in the SVG that I upload, if I hadn't, made materials in 3D where you're trying to like create imperfection to make something feel more real.
And I feel like the magic of that little slider is you can like basically get like 1000x the amount of iterations in a really short time window without having to do like multiple generations and waiting. And I feel like this is like, we should almost bake this slider in to everything that we do, just to like give people more shots on goal and like sort of let them customize without needing to wait for the whole generation process. So I think there's something magic here. And I feel like all the CL demos have these types of sliders. So I feel like you've all figured it out, and you just didn't tell anyone that we should be putting these in everything. But I love it. I feel like it's super cool.
I don't think I realized till you mention it right now that I almost tend to say, like almost every time tend to say, make this thing and give me controls on the side. One of the first projects that I did with AI Studio was to make story arc engine. And that was because at some point I wanted to write like short science fiction-y stuff, because I had some ideas. And so I thought, what if I made like this workshopping writing tool for myself, where I can make a story and it thinks through the story from like a 5-story narrative arc. So you're kind of like making the bones of a first draft. So here, for example, so it makes like a quick idea. I can make it a lot more verbose, or I could keep it super brief. And what's great about it is like I could reach at one point to say, the way that things get ruined, I don't like this moment. I can manually edit or just hit the dice icon, and then it sees how, or shows you back how this one change trickles down through the rest of the story. Here's another demo I made called 2x2 anything. So this is a super simple idea. It's kind of a way to make an informed decision about something. And 2x2s aren't new, but using a 2x2 that can keep modifying itself or is generative is. So I can change the title to movies, or I can change it back to snacks. And then I can create tensions. So it could be crunchy. And because it's Gemini, it does the thinking for like, what's the opposite of crunchy? It's soft. I can still go in and change that soft, but it's a nice way for me to, make something quick. And then whatever I click, it tries to find out what's in the middle of healthy and crunchy. Kale chips is pretty good.
One of the things I love about these demos that you make is like you're pushing everything outside of chatbots. Like I think a lot of people think that that's the main way to interact with AI, but like when you clicked on that quadrant, AI was like thinking and responding to you, and it's just such a different way of thinking like what it means to use an interface.
Yeah, it's also like, as a designer, I want to be as visual as possible. It's almost like putting a post-it in front of you and moving the post-its around. Here's the last demo I'll share. It's called Around the World in Good News. One of the best things about AI Studio is that it opens up the world to the rest of the Google ecosystem. So I was like, okay, I can do stuff with weather. I can do stuff with video. What if I did something with maps? And I was like, okay, maybe something to do with maps and good vibes and good news, because news isn't usually good. So it's a super simple idea. It's you pick a time, you pick a place, and then you get a piece of good news. When you asked me about the process, Logan, this is what it usually is. Like it's the idea first. Like I don't know what it looks like just yet. So it was as simple as make an app that lets you pick a spot on the map, choose a year, and tells you good news from that area. And then the next few hours are just spent in the thing like working or like making it work. I got these chips at the bottom of the text that wasn't in my design, but it was like verified sources. And I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. You know, that the text that's being generated, it's actually grounded in Google search. So it almost felt like I'm co-designing with Gemini and choosing what I want to take, what I want to leave. It still feels like mine and it's close to my design, but it's one step ahead.
It's cool to see that like it actually did take like literally hours of your work and pushing and going back and forth and giving input to the model to get to something that you were super happy with, and the end outcome is like something beautiful, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, I know sometimes the aspiration is that, or there's the illusion that AI is usually just hitting a button and stuff just magically pops up. Sometimes it does happen. Even if I get something in like one shot, I make sure I don't stop there, because in the same way, like even outside of AI, good ideas take time.
So Khyati, what would you say to other artists and designers who haven't gotten to vibe coding yet?
Things that from the outside might seem automated, they actually take a lot of time and effort. And what's great about that is in the process, you realize that all your skills, all your knowledge, all your years of experience still matter. And they add a lot. Like what I can make will be very different from what Alex makes. Or what, say, a doctor makes with vibe coding. Like those kinds of strange constellations or interconnections, I feel like bring a lot of uniqueness. So yeah, I think designers can bring their identity and humanity in AI.
I think you're 100% right, because I could never make any of the things that you've showed. So,
that's what I was trying to say.
I appreciate you for making them, because it is very true. But it was awesome to hear and learn from your perspective.
I'm glad. This was fun.